spend the hour today marking the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, the 2005 storm that devastated the Gulf Coast and New Orleans, killing more than 1,800 people, forcing more than 1 million people to evacuate. 10 years later, after Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans has become a different city. The population is now about 385,000, about 80% of its pre-Katrina population. The number of African Americans has plunged by nearly 100,000 since the storm. According to the Urban League, the income gap between black and white residents has increased 37% since 2005. Thousands of homes, many in African American neighborhoods, remain abandoned. On Thursday, President Obama spoke in New Orleans, remembering what happened 10 years ago.
Here in New Orleans, a city that embodies a celebration of life, suddenly seemed devoid of life. A place once defined by color and sound, the second line down the street, the crawfish boils in backyards, the music always in the air, suddenly was dark and silent. And the world watched in horror. We saw those rising waters drown the iconic streets of New Orleans. Families stranded on rooftops, bodies in the streets, children crying, crowded in the Superdome. American city dark and underwater. And this was something that was supposed to never happen here, maybe someplace else, but not here, not in America. And we came to realize that what started out as a natural disaster became a man-made disaster, a failure of government to look out for its own citizens. And the storm laid bare a deeper tragedy that had been brewing for decades, because we came to understand that New Orleans, like so many cities and communities across the country, had for too long been plagued by structural inequalities that left too many people, especially poor people, especially people of color, without good jobs or affordable health care or decent housing.
From Los Angeles, Wendell Pierce, a New Orleans native, acclaimed actor, Tony Award-winning producer and community activist. Where is New Orleans today? Where does it need to be?
I'll start in the words that Dickens gave us. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It's a tale of two cities. New Orleans, 10 years after Katrina, is definitely coming back. It is definitely thriving. It is definitely bringing in a new generation of entrepreneurial spirit, new businesses, new restaurants, reformation of the schools, reformation of the levees and the water protection system and all. So there's a lot to celebrate. But we should never start a discussion about Katrina without remembering the 1,800 plus souls who lost their lives 10 years ago in that great flood of that great city. So we should always remember them. It was the worst of times because we still are in a city that had institutionalized system and point of view where there are those who don't have our best interest at heart. If you live in certain parts of the city, is balkanized. It doesn't give the same attention and resources that it does to other parts of the city. New Orleans is too small, and that's the real worrying part to me. It's really too small to be so balkanized when it comes to giving resources, when it comes to best practices. I remember I had a personal conversation with a chief of staff of the council president. This is some years ago, who literally told me, I just don't think the lower Ninth Ward, which was a poor, working-class African-American neighborhood that was at the center of the storm, I don't think it is viable. I don't think we should be giving our resources to it. This is a woman who had the purse strings of the resources of the city. And I asked her why. She just said, I just don't think so. And I said, well, there's no place you've been to in the lower Ninth Ward you think is viable? And then she had to admit, Wendell, in my 40-plus years on this earth, I've never been to the lower Ninth Ward, a place that is only a few miles away from City Hall where she works every day. So it is the best of times, it's the worst of times.